He sat down and then quietly closed the door behind him. For a moment, he faced straight ahead. His hands flinched when he got halfway through putting on his seatbelt before he realized that he wasn't actually going anywhere. He dropped his arms and the seatbelt slithered back up into the side of the car. Neither of you seemed to know what to say now. Eventually, Cove turned to face you. He seemed serious. Everyone cared when you left the restaurant. They all wanted to be here, but I promised that I'd look out for you. He gripped the side of his cushion and regarded his lap. Like Liz, she told me I'd better not be making things worse or I'd never be considered a trusted adult for the rest of my life. But yeah, everyone's here for you even if it's just me in the car. I get it. Cove stared deep into your eyes. You noticed he had some redness around his. You can do it. We can do it, Faye. Make a good life for ourselves, no matter how hard it seems. We can do it. He gripped your shoulders, and you knew that he was doing his best to project confidence. He wasn't sure about himself, but he was trying for your sake. Thank you, Cove. He nodded and seemed almost larger than life. There was something about Cove. He could bring out the best parts of you. Cove then studied you from over his shoulder with a soft expression. He twisted his body to the side and held up his open arms. You raised your eyebrows. You went in for the hug. You pulled yourself towards the middle seat so that you could reach him properly. You had to climb over one of his legs that he had resting across the seats. He turned so that he was completely sideways in the seat, back pressed to the car door, and made space in front of him for you. You settled down against him and leaned against his chest. You wiggled in to fit comfortably. He wrapped both of his arms around you and rested one of his cheeks on the top of your head. It was very snug. Despite the cramped back seat of the car, Cove was very comfortable, and his reassurance was nice. He was right here, and he cared. It was hard to dwell on future troubles when he was doing his best to comfort you. Hey, Faye. His voice was calming, and his eyes were full of his fondness for you. His mouth quirked into a crooked smile. I have a great plan. We can just stop thinking about the future and all of that. You had no idea what he meant. He didn't acknowledge your confusion and continued. I'll still get that little apartment and you can move in too. I'll stay as close to here as possible and I'll get a new job on the shopping street. I'll sell pretzels. He lightly stroked your head as he spoke. On the word pretzel, he traced the loop-de-loop shape that you had a suspicion was supposed to be a pretzel. You can probably find a job there too. You could also sell pretzels. We'll be business partners. And then we'll do that forever. We'd never have to worry about what to do or where to go or letting our lives change ever again.
So?
What do you think? You laughed. That was proof that Cove was utterly hilarious. Pretzels. That would certainly be one way to steer your future. It's perfect. You're a genius. Cove chuckled, appearing entirely too innocent. I'm pleased you agree. I can't wait. Pretzels and you. We'll have pretzels for our meals too. As a start to our days as pretzel merchants, should we get in the mood by eating pretzels? Yep, you are what you eat. We'll make mini pretzels that we can stick in a bowl, and it'll just be just like cereal. It was fun to not be serious for a bit, though soon Cole's tone changed. Faye. He started to speak but drifted off. All the sounds of the world outside was muffled and distant. In that space, in that moment, it really felt as though there was no one except you and Cove. Cove softly ran his hand up and down your arm. It felt reassuring. Finally, he was able to continue his thought. No matter what, you can count on me whenever you need something, or even if you just want it. We are becoming more independent, but you're never actually alone in this world. Thank you. You considered the thought of living with Cove in his tiny apartment in the pretzel plan, or just in general. I'd be fine living with you if that could ever work out. Really? I'd like it too. Cove beamed. You felt much better than you did 5 minutes ago. He was your ray of sunshine. I guess we should be able to head back without carrying the weight of all this. That's important, after all. He paused with a smirk. You anticipated a joke, or at least an attempt at one. Our hands will finally be free for what other things, like eating our meal. So that'll be nice. Yeah, it really will be nice. You were actually pretty hungry at this point. There was certainly something to be said about freeing yourself from future concerns so that you could get around to living what was in your life now. He smiled, pleased at how everything turned out. With that, you happily stepped into the world again. You made sure to grab your phone and the key on the way out. Cove's stomach grumbled after you locked your mom's car back up. Looks like we're heading back just in time. Yeah. It was a short walk back to the restaurant. It felt like you blinked and then suddenly you were retaking your place at the table. You felt nervous. You didn't want to explain what happened yet. Liz took in your appearance with a grateful expression. To your surprise, she seemed alright with letting your disappearing act go. Thank goodness you're back, Faye. You have to back me up here. A hair elastic is called a hair elastic. It's a hair tie. Even just coming into the argument, you could tell they were just joking around. Neither Liz nor Lee was taking this semantic discussion seriously. Thin scrunchy? Traitor. Your mom laughed and you felt your discomfort subside a bit. Ma caught your eye. Are you alright, Faye? You nodded. Throughout the next few minutes, you found yourself drawn into different conversations, each one where everyone checked on you in their own way. The warmth of everyone's love comforted you. You decided to tuck this treasured feeling close to your heart. You wanted to remember it for a long, long time. Night fell soon after everyone finished their meals, and before you knew it, you were standing in the parking lot, saying your goodbyes and packing up the cars to go home. After the last of the chores were done, your family spent some more time together. The rest of the night felt like it was going by in a blink of an eye, and somehow the time came to retire to your room to sleep. You pulled your covers up under your chin and settled down for the night, getting warm and cozy. As your head sank into your pillow and you closed your eyes, your mind drifted back to everything that had happened that day. You could see it all now, behind your eyelids, as though you were experiencing it all over again. And then the image of Cove popped into your head, and you smiled softly to yourself. You were feeling tired, so you snuggled deeper into your bed. It wasn't long before your eyes were growing heavy, and you drifted off into a peaceful sleep. The next morning, you woke slowly from a comfortable dream, finding yourself safe and warm and tucked up in bed. With a small stretch, you opened your eyes to the sun shining in through the window. After waking up a little more and getting ready, you headed downstairs to find your family all gathered around the kitchen area. Good morning. You greeted them all, receiving a chorus of good mornings back in return. You nodded in acknowledgement as you headed into the kitchen to find some breakfast. A knock at the door caught your attention, and curiosity pulled you to follow several steps behind Mom as she went to answer it. Cove was waiting there with both of his parents. Morning. Hi there. Surprised at the sight, Mom paused a moment, and then she pulled Kira into a big hug. Meanwhile, you approached the doorway and flashed a small smile at Cove. Kira, it's been too long. I know, time's been flying. Kira's gaze slid over to you. She waved. Hey. Hi there, Faye. Hi, it took you long enough to come back here. You waved back. Focusing more on speaking, your hand waved rapidly back and forth. Kira chuckled and then glanced amusingly at Cove. Right? I'm doing wonderful now that I'm with my not-so-little mister again. Enough of standing around out here. Come in. Mom moved aside to usher the group in and guided them to the living room. Before anyone could get settled in, Mom spoke up. You're all welcome to stay for breakfast.
Of course.
Yes, we'll be thrilled to host you. There were eager nods from Mr. Holden and Kira, but Cove looked around the room filled with familiar faces before speaking up. Maybe instead of staying here, why don't we go to the beach? A scenic picnic? Oh. Mr. Holden crossed his arms and contemplated that idea happily. Excited, Kira clapped her hands together. Yeah. Oh, we could actually make a day out of it. Might as well enjoy the ocean while we can. That sounds lovely, Cove. Everyone else put in their own agreement with Cove's suggestion. Before long, both families dispersed, getting everything ready. Sandwiches had to be made, water, sunscreen, towels, and more needed to be gathered and packed. An hour later, both your family and Coves were walking down the old path to the beach. The morning was already turning into a bright and beautiful day. You honestly couldn't ask for better weather for a beach trip. The moment you laid your eyes on the full view of the ocean, you stopped and stood there mesmerized. It didn't matter that you grew up here, the sight always filled you with wonder. Hey Faye, hmm?
So?
I was thinking about calling Terry and Miranda, see if they can come too. Everyone else is pretty much already here, so would your family mind? Well, you had a good idea. He chuckled, his mouth pulled into a bent smile. It had to happen sometime, even with Clifford's surprise, Holden raising me. That had you laughing this time, you were already eager for your friends to join you there. Hey mom, ma. They both stopped what they were doing and turned towards you. Immediately you darted over to them. I have a question. Would it be alright if Terry and Miranda came by? I don't see why not. Ma looked at Mom to see what she thought, and she nodded in agreement. Mom then shot a glance over at Mr. Holden and Kira, knowing that they had likely heard everything.
You alright with that?
Cliff, Kira, what do you think? What do you two think? The more the merrier. Of
Okay.
course, they're welcome with me. Thanks. Delighted, you nodded and turned on your heels. Cole was still several feet away talking to Liz and Lee, likely about the same topic. With a beaming smile, you gave him a thumbs up, and the two of them must have also approved, as Cole quickly got his phone out and started making the calls. At that, you turned your attempt to helping with the picnic setup. Unexpectedly, your phone started ringing. You dug it out, serious to see the caller ID. Curious, feeling your heart jump with excitement, you answered the video call request. It was Derek. Hey, this is a surprise. I thought you disappeared. Nope, I have not. And I hope it's at least a good surprise. A very good one. He chuckled at that, and your smile widened. So, what's up? The voice that came through was much deeper than it had been when you first met, but it still had the exact same amount of enthusiasm of a kid. Have you been enjoying these crazy summer days? It's been amazing. That's awesome. You'll have to catch me up on that. But what about you? How's your summer been? You were beyond curious to know what Derek had been up to since the last time you spoke. He chuckled, noticing your invested tone. Honestly, I've been slammed with stuff lately. College applications and scholarship inquiries. What else is new? What else is new? Well, I bet you're even more toned now. You flirted. Faint, faintly, you heard a slight hitch in his breathing. You smirked. You're right about that one. I hope you can see it in person sometime. He spoke so softly it was like he was whispering it to you. There was no stopping the grin that grew on your face. You could only hope no one asked what was so interesting. I hope so too. Oh, hey, I finally get the chance to say this. I met that boy again, the dancer from the Cypress Summer Soiree. Huh? Wait, hold on. I need a second for my brain to catch up. That was fair. The human mind only had so much processing power, and that revelation was an overload. You waited patiently in semi-silence. Some muffled mumbles came over the speaker, as well as scratchy interference that you suspected was Derek actually scratching his ear near the phone. Alright, so I'm breaking this down. There was that time you took me to the country club when we were barely teenagers. Yes, and I asked you to show me around and we went on a walk. Yeah, then we ended up in a totally different party for a whole other group of people that we weren't supposed to be at. The confirmation process continued. Right. In that party, we talked to a kid around our age to ask what was going on, and he told us that what I said before about it being a private occasion for people who were not us. It was a dance circuit. You've got it. That's who you met? You got it. His name is Baxter. He rented the house next to Cove. No way. How did you remember him? He remembered me. And you too. He did? You verified reality for Derek for a final time. He did. He said you were short. What? Man, why does that have to be my legacy, being short? Baxter the dancer, huh? Your summer was even more exciting than I would have guessed, and I had banked on it being decently wild. And yours was actually exactly as eventful as I thought it'd be. Yeah, it always is. The distant tone of his voice made him feel even further away from you than he was. That wasn't what you had wanted, and you attempted to bring the topic back to something cheerer. What's going on with your family? Are George and Nico being good? My little brothers are little punks, but I guess they're doing alright. We both laughed at that. Mom and Dad are fine. That's great. My moms are too. Turning your attention back to your surroundings, you smiled warmly at your family buzzing around. Towels were laid out, and chairs and umbrellas were being set up. Actually, I'm out with my moms right now. Liz and Lee are here visiting too. Oh, that's fun. But if that's the deal, I'll let you get back to it. Are you sure? I don't mind. Uh-huh, I'm sure. I'm not about to lose your numbers. Okay, bye. Bye, Faye. Have a heck of a day. Hanging up, the conversation left you energized and in good spirits. It was exactly what you needed to make this day even better. You hurried over to your mom's and helped put up the rest of the food out. In moments, you noticed Cove at your side. So what's the verdict on those invitations? They're gonna come. Yes. Excited to raise your free hands for a high five, Cove laughed and slapped your hand.
Yeah.
They'll meet us here later today. Shouldn't be too long. I can't wait. Once the setup was done, everyone got comfortable and dug into the food. You couldn't remember the last time breakfast tasted this good, but you attributed it to the gorgeous ocean view and soothing sea breeze. Morning swiftly gave way to afternoon, and a very recognizable face came walking down to the shore. Baxter seemed momentarily surprised to see you all there. He pleasantly approached with a wave. Hello there. I didn't mean to intrude on the party. I was coming down to get some fresh air. Oh, you didn't intrude on anything. You're welcome to join us. We brought plenty of towels and food and sunscreen. Yeah, you're one of the neighbors. Kick back and relax with us.
Thank you.
Well, I can't possibly say no to that. Thank you. Baxter's gaze moved over to you and Cove. He smiled. Faye, Cove, long time no see. Hi. You waved from where you leisurely sat, and Cove nodded. It was then that Baxter noticed the faces he didn't immediately recognize from around the neighborhood. He turned up his charm even more for the introductions. Excuse me, I'm Baxter Ward. I'm sorry, we haven't met before. Well, we're not typically from around this area, just visiting. I'm Co's mom. A few giggles escaped Lee as she watched Baxter carefully. When his attention turned to her now, she held out a hand.
Hi.
Hi, I'm Lee, Faye's and Lee's cousin. Baxter shook it and then took a step back. Lee's smile grew. I'll remember that. It's very nice to meet you both. After that, Baxter spent some time getting better acquainted with everyone, and Terry and Miranda arrived excitedly. It took a moment to introduce the three, and conversation shifted to what you all would do next. We could do a few rounds of volleyball. There's plenty of us now.
Is that all
Could I
right?
play? Of course. Miranda brightened up, delighted with this plan. Ma looked around to see if there were any other takers. I don't feel like playing. I have to change, but it'd be fun to watch. I could be the ref. My eyes won't miss a thing. Volleyball is a good idea, but there should probably be something happening for those who aren't a fan. Oh, I have some crafting supplies we could use to make jewelry. We could even use stuff we find around the beach to accentuate them.
Really?
Really? I want to make a necklace.
That'd be great.
I'd be interested in trying my hand on at that too.
Absolutely.
Impromptu crafting is my kind of party. I'd like to join too, please. I'll play volleyball. You looked at Ma, ready to jump into competitive mode. She looked thrilled to have you on board. I'm game to play some volleyball. Now that plans were settled, the groups temporarily split into two.
Anyway.
Alright, sports stars, you're gonna have to pick partners and then it's game on. Mr. Holden left the rest of you to deliberate and turned his attention to drawing a makeshift court in the sand. Well, she walked over to you and hooked her arm around yours. You laughed. I want to be on Faye's team. You paired up with Ma. Alright, it'll be Ma and me. You wanted to have fun with your Ma. Cole put on his game face, not intending to go easy on you now that you were on opposite sides. Cove then turned to Miranda. He looked determined. Ready to win? Yeah. When Mr. Holden finished drawing the court, he went and fetched the volleyball from the various other supplies you all brought there. Sounds like we have our teams all set, right?
Yes.
Yes. Good. Now get your sides. Thus, four of you situated yourselves on one side or the other of the court with your partner. Mr. Holden tossed the ball to Ma.
Do you mind?
Since this was all Noelani's idea, I think it's fair she gets to serve first. Thank you, Cliff.
Yeah.
Ma, show him who's boss. Go, Faye, make him eat sand. You kicked a small heap of sand out of your way on the simple court, making her laugh. You turned back towards Ma. Good luck, Ma. Good luck to you too, but I don't think we're gonna need it. Ma flashed you a playful grin and punched a fist into the palm of her other hand. You were very amused at her show of confidence. With that, Ma got into position and delivered a practice to serve first. The game began. In the battle over the volleyball, both teams scored points. There wasn't a set amount to reach to end things, so it went back and forth for as long as everyone wanted to play. And the game went on for quite a while as everyone got into it, especially with cheers and added commentary. Liz and Mr. Holden had made the whole game better with their humor and wit. From a distance, a jewelry-making group would also cheer when they heard shouts coming out of the court. On top of that, they would hold up each newly made piece in the air and made players would take a breather to applaud the creation. It wasn't until all of you were exhausted from the running, spiking, and driving that a truce was called. You enjoyed every moment of it. The afternoon continued to drift by, but the fun was still going strong. Occasionally, someone would head back to the houses to use the bathroom, rest away from the sun a while, or to retrieve something that they needed, but they always came back. The beach was never empty, and there was always a new conversation to take part in or another game to join. There was only one thing that could bring this beach day to an end, and that was for the day itself to end. Before anyone realized it, the sun began to set over the sea. As that happened, you were taking a break, sitting on a towel with your legs stretched out past it and your feet buried in deep warm sand. Shortly, you looked up to see your moms approaching. They stopped in front of you and you smiled. Hey there, kiddo.
How are you?
How are you doing? I'm doing great. Today's been amazing. They both sat down, squishing you between them. Ma leaned her head against yours, and Mom started rubbing your back soothingly. Nothing more was said at first, but Ma sighed contentedly. Mom looked at you wistfully. We're both really proud of you, Faye.
True.
You grew up to be more than we ever could have hoped. It's only thanks to you. Ma wrapped an arm around your middle and squeezed you tightly in a side hug. Mom continued lightly scratching your back.
Thank you.
That means a lot, but I still think you're selling yourself short. You've always been a lovely person, and I'm so thrilled to know you. Your voice faltered, and you honestly couldn't imagine your life any other way. Ma lightly brushed some of your hair back and left a small kiss there. I'm so happy I got to have both of you as my moms. After that, all three of you were sitting there getting all sentimental. I don't know how we got so lucky with you and Liz. Ma reached out in front of you for Mom's hand. You gave it to her, and Ma squeezed it.
Of course.
Faye has a point. We must have done something right. You stayed there quietly and contentedly, watching the sun set with your parents for a while, until Mr. Holden called out to you. He was still walking in your direction. We were talking and think we're gonna take a walk down the shore. Any of you want to come? Automatically, you look to your moms for what they were thinking. Mom glanced from you to Ma and smiled. That sounds good to me.
That's
Yes,
fantastic.
that'd be very nice. My legs need some stretching. That's a yes across the board. Thrilled, Mr. Holden threw out a thumbs up and began heading back to with the way he came in, a light jog. Hey, don't leave us in the dust. Cliff kept going forward but flipped around, walking backwards across the sand so he could face you again.
No
Don't
worries.
worry, we won't leave you without you. Alright, we'll catch up. Ready to go? Uh-huh. Both of your moms held a hand out to you, chuckling. You gave them each one, and you all strode back to the rest of the group. When Liz was in reach, Ma used her free hand to pull her into it too. Liz shook her head, but her mouth quirked into a smirk, and she didn't resist. Together as a family, you followed behind the others hand in hand. Your feet squished into the wet sands as the waves rolled over them, and you didn't have a single care in the world as more and more stars began to dot the sky. Once the sun had long been out of sight, it was finally time to pack up. The closing of the day and the ever-approaching end of the summer seemed to intertwine. It caused a quiet, reflective mood to blanket over the group. On the beach, Terry and Miranda took turns compressing Cove in a hug before moving on to do the same to you. You chuckled, still overjoyed that you got to see them today. I'm sorry we have to go already. My parents are here. That's okay. But still, I wish we could help clear this up. Don't worry about it. Just thanks for coming out today. It was cool having everyone here.
Yep,
Oh yeah, I'm super glad we came. Hopefully, we can do it again sometime. Nodding, you turned your attention to Terry. She wore a large grin on her face and held a hand out for a low five. You obliged.
See you later.
Take care of yourselves, buddies. After that, they walked away, waving to you and Cove as they went down the shore. Cove waved quietly back with a small smile on his face. You waved too. It was a big wave. You hoped Miranda was right, and there would be another day like this soon. Taking you by surprise, Terry jumped and twisted around. She kept up with Miranda by walking backwards. She kept the mood of your farewell. She kept the mood of your farewell light by shooting finger guns at you and Cove. Miranda bumped her with a hip. It left everyone with laughs just before they disappeared down the bend. Faye?
Come
Hey
on.
Cove, could you come here? Both of your parents were motioning for you. The both of you went to them. Tons of things ended up at the sand beach over the course of the day. so there was still so much to pack up, and the parents needed help. With a nod, you got to it, stuffing various things into bags and bundling them up in towels. Once things were ready to go, everyone filled their arms with as much as they could carry. Absolutely no one wanted this to be a back and forth kind of task. The walk back home ended up being mostly quiet. Each person seemed to be feeling the effects of the day. A cool breeze carried you across the sand and onto the road. There was a sigh of relief from what felt like the group as a whole when they arrived back to the neighborhood. Baxter carefully placed what he had been carrying on the ground. Thank you so much for helping with that. No,
Thanks.
thank you for allowing me to join today. You always shared with me. Helping to carry it back is the least I can do. Ma nodded, and the others started collecting their things from his pile. Baxter, meanwhile, stepped over to you and Cove. It really was a pleasure getting to know of you both this summer. His head tilted towards you, and he smiled warmly. Baxter offered you his hand. You used your freer hand to shake his. It was tough with what you were carrying, but you were able to extend one of your hands a bit. Baxter chuckled and shook it. I really enjoyed meeting you.
Glad
I'm
to hear
delighted
it.
to hear that. I enjoyed this vacation immensely thanks to you. Baxter turned to shake Cove's hand this time. He was a little incredulous for a moment, but then Cove eventually shifted what he was carrying and took Baxter's hand. It wasn't long, but it was a solid handshake. Baxter was clearly pleased. I wish we had more time together, but it was still a nice ride while it lasted. Would happily do it all over again. Bye, Baxter. Yeah, bye. Baxter nodded and walked a few steps towards his condo. He then stopped and waved. Goodbye. Baxter sauntered away completely and disappeared inside the condo to return to his own things. His time with you and your family and friends ending. You paused for a moment, staring at where he went.